Good evening. Despite a larger than average number of calls during last month's programme, there's actually not a lot we can say just at the moment. But we can report developments on the death of Richard Miles. Stroud Police are following up information from several viewers, and 2 calls in particular have led them to South Wales, so we'll keep you posted on that. Detectives in Suffolk are so far no further forward with their investigations into the murder of Doris Shelley, but there is news on the attack at Ike Post Office a few miles away. Several viewers recognised the man on the security video we showed. 2 men have been charged for 2 separate incidents, one with burglary and the other with attempted murder and robbery.
Our first case tonight is murder, and very nearly multiple murder. For whoever killed a local government official 4 months ago almost blew up a block of flats and all its residents. The dead man was Bulic Forsythe. Detectives hope tonight to find the motive and the culprit.
Love, is anyone in there?
Well, I don't know. Mr. Forsythe lives there. If he's in or not, I don't know.
Oh, there's someone in there. Get a move on. Get in here, Carl! Underneath, Carl! Lock it up! Put it in there! We've got a body in here, Carl! There's a body in here, Carl! One man found in back bedroom, apparently dead.
The fire had been started deliberately. The dead man was 42-year-old Bulic Forsythe, and he'd been murdered, beaten repeatedly and savagely around the head.
Morning.
Morning.
Oh, Edna. I've just walked through the car park. It's a complete mess. There's cars blocking in social work.
Bulic worked for Lambeth Social Services at our headquarters in Clapham for over 4 years. Although he was considered by some people to be rather overzealous, in fact, his bark was much worse than his bite.
This morning, I came through the yard. There were cars wrongly parked, blocking other people in. Social services cars can't get out in an emergency.
Amongst his responsibilities were premises management of some 10 social services buildings around the borough. He was a very conscientious and efficient office manager. And in fact, senior management in social services often asked him to write important policy documents on health and safety procedures. I would say that he had a very genuine concern for the welfare of staff.
Hello? Yes, yes. Bulic Forsythe speaking.
We generally heard very little from him about his private life. Really, he kept very much to himself on those matters.
Bulic moved to Foster Court in South London 4 years ago. In 1990, he'd married an American, but he loved his job too much to emigrate. So his wife, now pregnant, was planning to join him in Britain.
Oh, I'm fine. Thank you, Mrs. Harris.
Their baby was due in May.
I'm so overjoyed at the moment to think that at 42, I'll be having my first child with you.
He was very excited and said, Dee, I can't believe this. At my age, I'm going to be a father. He said, somebody up there must love me. I said, please, don't you tell anyone until I'm sure. But I guess I should have told him to tell the world, because as soon as I hung up, he called my mom, he called his friends, and I heard he went to the pub, and he told everyone. Bulic was easygoing, loved to party, loved his music, and loved to play pool. And I guess on his job, most people never saw that side of him.
In fact, while Dawn was in America, Bulic, or John as some friends knew him, may have been quite lonely. Few colleagues at work were close to him, but he had several friends from Clapham, some from the gay scene, and several visited his flat. Please call if you knew him. For some months before his death, Bulic had often been seen with 2 men at an off-licence just across the road from his flat. One man always stood near the doorway, while the other seemed equally keen not to be recorded by the shop's security camera. The owner remembers this man as scruffy in blue, tight-fitting jeans and a casual jacket. He was about 25 years old, 6 feet tall, with blue eyes and unkempt fair hair.
Are you up already, Bulic? It's only 4:45.
Yes. I've just finished working on this report now, and I've been at it for 6 weeks, but It's all done. Really pleased. So, I'm going to get an early night.
Bulic was last seen alive leaving the council offices around 5 p.m. on Wednesday, February the 24th.
Every morning I hear the alarm of Mr. Forsythe go off, because my bedroom is above his bedroom. But this morning I didn't hear the alarm. And then when I went out at 9 o'clock, I saw his curtains open. And that was unusual, because mostly his curtains are drawn at that time in the morning.
Edna, have you seen Bulic this morning?
Is he expecting you?
Well, not really, but I'm a little bit worried, because he's normally here by now.
While his colleagues were trying to contact him, Bulic's flat may have been having visitors. A local resident recalls,
I was going over the paper shop to buy a paper, and I saw 3 men was coming out of Foster Court round the front there. They was carrying some briefcase and some folders in their hands. Why I noticed them? Because they look official. I never saw them here before.
if you were one of those 3 men, the police would dearly like to hear from you. 4 hours later, just before 2 o'clock, the same resident who'd seen visitors at the front noticed something unusual at the back of Bulic's flats.
I saw a white car parked there in the corner with 2 men sitting in it, and they was gazing at me. They're well dressed, and one of them have black hair, the other one have a brownish hair. I live here for 18 years and I never see a car parked there before.
Phone. Mike, I'm getting concerned about Bulic. I'm going to go around to the flat later, see if he's okay.
When she got there at 5 p.m, Bulic's curtains had been closed. Someone had obviously been in the flat that day.
Bulic! Bulic! Are you in there? Open the door, Bulic!
Bulic was probably inside, but almost certainly now dead. Then, later on that night, a resident in Foster Court was disturbed by a commotion.
It was about 1 o'clock in the morning. I remember looking at the clock. I heard running at the back of the flats quite heavy footsteps.
The gas failed to explode, and Bulic's neighbour woke up an hour later.
Oh my God, there's a fire. Fire brigade. Fire brigade. Please call. I would like to know why he was murdered. And for my sake, my baby's sake, and his family, we all want to know why.
If you know anything that could suggest a motive for Bulic Forsythe's death, do please ring. And would this man, a friend perhaps called Steve, who's maybe a bicycle courier, call as well? Or were you one of the 2 friends seen with Bulic in the off-licence? Can you help eliminate the 3 men who were leaving Foster Court? We know some documentation is missing from Bulic's flat. It could be personal or it could be connected with his work. Do you know where it is? Or have you been offered Bulic's watch, a silver Rolex Oyster model, R16220A7? Who would be so crazy as to set fire to a building in the dead of night with families asleep in all the other flats? Detective Superintendent Brian Tompkins is waiting for your call, or you can ring another number, the Murder Inquiry Room at Gypsy Hill, 071 326 1212. That's 071 326 1212.
This next case is one of the most frightening crimes, but also one of the most unusual. It's the robbery of a couple in their home one evening last March, and police believe the robbers were acting on particular information from someone connected with the couple's business. Ron and Sheila have been market traders for nearly 15 years, but they went into semi-retirement after Ron suffered a heart attack just before Christmas. Our reconstruction begins near Horsham at the market where they now work 2 or 3 days a week.
Hello, you love.
Hello there, yeah, I was just looking at that jacket there.
Oh, isn't it? This one?
In the fashion business for a number of years, and we enjoy it, and no 2 days are never the same.
So,
I love the business, really love doing what we're doing, and that's good enough for me to
have in life, you know, that is, I'm pleased with that. I don't want much more than that from life.
Since Ron's heart attack, the couple had been spending much more time at home. They live on the outskirts of Horsham, in a little village called Five Oaks. Their young grandchildren live nearby.
What we like about it is there is so much room that when the grandchildren do come, they can just run wild.
Hey, what you stopping for? You got all the rest of it to do, yeah? Hey, look, I'm going in the house, pack a few boxes, all right? All right.
That's the whole object of it, to sort of have the freedom for them.
Bye-bye, you two.
Tuesday the 16th of March. It was budget day.
Suppose we'll have a budget on TV all night tonight.
Half a mile away on the A29 London to Bognor Road is a little chef. It's now about 8:30 in the evening.
Would you like a tea and coffee while you're reading the menu?
I'll have one of these and hot chocolate.
I thought it was I became suspicious. Medium build. Accent.
Of leaving.
Is everything all right? Can I get you another drink?
No.
I did feel that he wanted to be left people, and he didn't want anything else. Hello? Hello? Must be the wrong number. Put the phone down. At 9:45, 3 men walked quite quickly into the restaurant, over to the man sitting on table 2. They seemed to know each other very well. The first 2 men were good 6-footers, one with dark hair, one with blonde hair, and behind was a man much shorter, quite stocky, in his late 50s. The 4 men left at about 10:20. I always cash up when the last customer is gone, and I didn't want to take the till out while he was still there.
I think I'll get to bed.
Yeah, I think I'll come up too.
What's that? Jesus Christ!
How's that?
Well, get back! Christ! What's going on? What's happening? Did I go through? Did I go through?
Did I time? Oh!
Behind your back.
Emergency unit service. Do you require the police? Hello?
Police emergency?
Brighton here. I've just had a 999 call from a house in Five Oaks, Sussex. I've asked if they require the police, but all I can hear is a lot of shouting.
Where is it? Where's what? What are you on about? Don't give me that! Where's the money?
I was just terrified. I just didn't know what was happening. I had one over me constantly while the other one was looking for the money. He was approximately 6'2". His age would have been 30 or very early 30s, you know.
The couple's ordeal lasted 11 minutes, and emergency services recorded it all. Can you recognise any of these voices?
I said, turn round the other way. What do you care? Indeed, good chap, you'll be all right. You got it? Don't keep looking at me,
Coach Cottage at Five Oaks. Can you attend?
Yeah, all received by November Papa 13 en route.
Tell me where the girl is and no one's going to get hurt.
What do you mean? Please, just don't have run.
There were so many things that you seemed to know about us. They knew we'd just come back from a trip to Scotland. They knew Ron had had the heart attack. They let me know they knew more than they should have done.
I was terrified, and I really thought at the end of the day they would have to kill me.
Gaffers, out now!
The men ran off into the field behind the house.
My husband's inside!
I'm all right, Lasker. I'm all right.
In a garden across the fields, they began discarding anything which could connect them with the crime, including this knuckle duster.
About 20, late 20s, I'd say, for them.
Money doesn't really bother me, but it has left a nasty scar on my life, which I will never forget, and I just hope that these people get caught.
Mr. Wyeth, obviously that tape recorded by the emergency services is the best lead you've got.
Yes, it's an excellent piece of evidence. There's about 11 minutes of the offenders' voices. They're very distinctive on there. We can see that one of them is Cockney, uses expressions such as gaffers for police.
We've got a short clip we can play. We have to listen very carefully, but see if you can recognise these voices.
Got it. And the fat bastard wouldn't turn me like that. Got it. Turn me the other way. I don't even look at you. I said, turn me the other way. Stop. Yeah. Where's your kettle? Secret chap, you'll be all right. You got it?
Having listened to all 11 minutes of the tape, what else can you tell us about what went on and what those voices are?
Well, there are other Cockney expressions, like the use of the word jam for a car. It also appears one of them may be called Bob.
Now, they discarded all kinds of objects as they fled. And these are just a few of them that you brought in.
Yes, indeed. We've recovered their weapons, a single and double-barrelled sawn-off shotgun, an imitation revolver there. It's a Magnum 9mm, a very distinctive brass knuckle duster with the figure of a female on it, some tape that was used to bind Ron's ankles with a price label on. We'd like to know where that came from. Jemmies and various clothing that they threw as they left the scene and as they travelled away, we believe in a vehicle along the A264. A leather jacket, this bag that was possibly headgear, there's a Cloth Kits label on there, and some shoes, both size 8, size 8.5, Reebok Tech 1, the Tech 1 heavily covered in paint.
And fairly battered looking.
Yes, indeed.
What about the car they would have used?
Yes, we can't be sure, but we recovered a plate of a vehicle. This plate here relates to a stolen Ford Escort Poplar van, stolen from Brighton in June of last year. Could be the getaway vehicle.
It could or it could not. Right, well, if you can help with any of the details connected with this crime, please do call us. There's a reward, by the way. The studio number, once again, here is 081 811 8181. Or Mr. Wyeth's colleagues are manning the phones back at headquarters, which you can ring direct on 0403 273 733. That's 0403, the code for Horsham, 273 733.
Now to Photocall, our gallery of faces wanted by the police. This is last month's album. There's been progress on 2 cases, indeed one of them's fogged out because the woman has been arrested. She surrendered herself to police after people recognised her on the programme, and she's since been charged on 3 counts of theft. This man was wanted in connection with a series of robberies linked by the M25, and no fewer than 25 callers gave the same name. A man answering that name left his home in Folkestone in a hurry on the night of the programme. Do call if you know where he is now. And please call too if you've seen Francis Joseph Tierney, wanted in connection with a large drug seizure in Liverpool. Or this man who threatened people with a gun in Lancaster. Here now is Superintendent David Hatcher and Detective Constable Jackie Hames to take us through this month's portraits.
First, these 2 men may have information about a series of credit card thefts and deceptions. Offices in St Albans and Windsor have been the target of thieves since last December. This solicitor's in Park Street, Windsor, was the first stop. On the 10th of December, a gold card was taken. Within hours, 2 men called at nearby Preston's Jewellers, where the stolen card is used to buy an expensive Cartier watch. Then, accountants' offices in Victoria Street and Latimer Road, St Albans, were the scene of more thefts. Credit cards were taken and later used to purchase thousands of pounds worth of video equipment. The same cards are being used here in Hogg Robinson's in Enfield, North London, on the 23rd of February. The 2 men are attempting to buy foreign currency, but staff became suspicious and the men left empty-handed. Do you recognise them? They're both in their mid-20s to early 30s and 5'10" to 6 foot tall. This man has a tanned complexion and uses the name David Ellis, and on one occasion he wore glasses. This man has a larger build with light brown to blondish hair. If you can help, please call us tonight.
This is Simon Alistair Mason. Officers from 4 forces would like to speak to him about the use of fraudulent bankers' drafts. People advertising their cars for sale in magazines were contacted and persuaded to accept payment by banker's draft. These turned out to be forged. It's estimated that car sellers across the country have lost over £60,000. We believe Mr Mason may have information on a number of high-performance cars, in particular a Lotus 7, registration number XRP 998S, last seen in Nottinghamshire, which he may still be driving. Simon Alistair Mason is 25, 5'10", slim with short black hair and a prominent nose. If you know where he is, please call.
Flying squad officers would like to speak to these men in connection with 2 jewellery robberies which took place earlier this year. In Vade Jewellers in Kingsbury Road, northwest London, a shop assistant was attacked just before 11 AM on Thursday the 7th of January. A large amount of expensive jewellery was taken. Then, a couple of hours later, these men were filmed acting suspiciously in a shop in Ealing Road, Wembley. They inquired about gold bracelets but left without making a purchase. 5 minutes later, Devji's Jewellers across the road was targeted. 3 men took some very valuable jewellery, but in their haste to escape they dropped a hold-all bag with this distinctive Robbie logo. The first man's in his late teens to early 20s, between 5'10" and 6 foot tall. The second man is 20 to 25 and about 5'10" tall. The third man is again in his late teens, but smaller, about 5'8", with short hair. If you can help with any information, please call us.
We know who this man is, but not where he is. He's identified as 30-year-old Mark Gaskin. Mr Gaskin had a very busy few days in April. Here he is on the Thursday the 22nd, robbing a building society in Bournemouth. Just 4 days later, he's at work again, this time in Southampton, but his attempt failed. Not one to be put off, he visited the Bristol and West Building Society in Reading on Friday the 30th of April. But where is he now? If you can help with this or any of our other photo call cases, please call.
And the number to ring here is 081 811 8181. That's 081 811 8181. The calls are coming in here. Most of the calls we're taking so far have been on the murder of Bulic Forsythe. We've had a couple of names suggested for the men in the off licence, and also a couple of calls on the Rolex Oyster watch that Bulic owned. And there have been a couple of names also on the robbery in Horsham. Some names suggested for the gunman. More later.
Crimewatch is often asked to refresh cases other methods haven't reached, and that means the crimes we're asked to cover sometimes fairly old ones. But it's extraordinary how good viewers' recollections turn out to be. Our next film is about a robbery that took place 6 months ago, the Saturday before Christmas. But the sequence of events goes back further still, to last July, in Brown Hills near Walsall in the West Midlands.
This car thief, who got the key posing as a potential customer, is known to the police, but won't say who he passed the car to. It turned up 5 months later, 100 miles away, at Morrison's supermarket in Halifax, West Yorkshire.
We always shop at Morrison on Keighley Road every Friday. We fill up with petrol after we done our shopping, because the petrol station is in the back of Morrison.
This is Friday, the 18th of December at 5 p.m.
I'm just looking bored and I saw this white colour car standing there and had the bonnet open, and a man was working in it, and he kept looking to the security van all the time, and that was a bit suspicious. And what stuck in my mind was that mattress in the back of the car. I thought it's a bit funny, a mattress like that.
No, you'll be lucky.
A few minutes later, about 5:05, this woman and her son were on their way to the supermarket.
I always shop at Morrison's. I usually go 2 or 3 times a week, and my son nearly always comes with me. He likes to come shopping, comes for the outing. I park my car in a fairly quiet part of the car park, a place I don't usually park. I pulled up at the side of a white car, and as I turned to get out of the car, I was startled when I realised there was a young man in the car at the side of me in the passenger seat. As I got out of my car, I noticed he put his left hand up to shield the side of his face, so I couldn't see his face, which I thought was rather odd, and made me notice him all the more. He may have been around 30-ish, quite sort of medium brown hair, nicely cut. I was only in the supermarket maybe 15, 20 minutes.
Outside, Securicor had arrived at the back entrance, while at the front...
As I came out with my son, I noticed the white Fiesta had moved into another parking spot. But this time there were two men sat in the front. I felt sure they were up to something. I thought perhaps they were out to steal a car out of the car park.
It's pure supposition, but my feeling would be that they were probably going to do it that day and were stopped for some reason. Some armed robberies are opportunist armed robberies, and they are decided upon that morning when thieves get out of bed and have no money, put a gun in a car and go out and do a robbery. And I'm afraid it's as simple as that sometimes.
Control from Tango 37. We've just left the centre of Halifax and we'll be at Morrison's in 5 minutes. Over.
Saturday the 19th December at 5:15 p.m.
And I was just shopping on my own. I saw this man. I thought he looked suspicious because he didn't have any shopping. He was about 30, about 5'8", pale complexion.
Requires assistance.
I've been attacked. All right. Yeah. Oh, no, he's got a gun.
A schoolboy saw the white Fiesta heading towards Cousin Lane. A police helicopter was overhead in moments, but the car escaped unseen until it got to Ramsden Wood.
Hello, am I through to the police? Yes, I don't know if you're interested, but I've just seen a white car driving very quickly towards the reservoir at Jug Lane.
The following morning we brought the car out of the reservoir, and we would never have known to have come here if we hadn't had that phone call.
Chief Inspector Lynn Toland's with us now, and that car, presumably, that you recovered from the reservoir is your best clue.
Yes, it is. We know that the person who stole the car didn't do the armed robbery because at the time of the armed robbery he was actually in prison. We don't know much about what happened to the car after that, but we do know that exactly 1 week before Christmas, on the 18th of December, that car was outside Morrison's supermarket in Halifax, and that the following day that car was present when the armed robbery was done.
So it was probably stored overnight somewhere in the Halifax area
It
that
could
night.
have been anywhere in the West Yorkshire area, but we don't think it was too far away from
With a
there.
mattress in the back. I mean, a pretty prominent thing
Yes,
to see a white Fiesta XR2 the week before Christmas. The registration plates that they'd put on, E768GFV, somebody made up those, and obviously you'd like the garage that made those up to...
We would if they can remember making those up, yes. There's no name at all on them.
These are other things that were recovered by the car. These bolt cutters presumably used to get towards the reservoir, the sledgehammer.
Yes.
More to the point, tell us about this comic book, the Robo Machine featuring the GoBots Annual 1986.
Well, this was found in the boot of the car, and it's got some children scribbling on it there. And we think it's possible that somebody could have got into the car with some children quite innocently and might remember this book belonging to them.
Right. That canister they took the money in, a security canister, of course, contains this sort of explosive red dye thing, and that went absolutely everywhere in the car, even when it was recovered from the water.
Yes,
it was just red everywhere.
Yes.
Now, presumably the men would have been covered in that as well.
I think they would have been absolutely covered in it, and particularly on their hands and in the fingernails.
They tried using the mattress, but presumably the purpose of that was to absorb the dye, but it simply didn't work. So anybody who saw someone the week before Christmas coming all covered in red, the notes would presumably have been ruined, the money covered in red as well.
Yes.
There's quite a reward on this.
Yes, there is.
And it was a pretty nasty offence.
It was, and I'm quite sure that some loved one will know that her husband or boyfriend came home covered in dye, and I'd ask them to ring the police now because this next time they do a robbery like this, it could be a murder.
Okay, the number here in the studio is 081 811 8181, or you can ring the incident room in Halifax direct on 0800 45 4000. That's 0800, a free phone number, 45